Hi, my name is Steph Sanders with North of the River Recreation and Park District. April kicks off World Landscape Architecture Month. Me as the landscape architect for NOR, what we do is we design parks that you see for the district, and we look at all of our lands. And landscape architecture has been around for more than 100 years, but a lot of people don't know what landscape architects do. I have a fun little book called Sam the Landscape Architect that I'm going to read to you today to give us a better idea of what landscape architecture is. It's called Sam the Landscape Architect, an environmental design story. This is Samantha. She goes by Sam. Sam knows she can design parks with a plan. Sam likes to color and Sam likes to draw. Sam likes to plant trees that are big and trees that are small. Sam loves to play and Sam loves to run. That is why Sam creates parks that are just so much fun. Sam likes to walk and Sam likes to talk. So Sam creates paths she can draw on with chalk. Sam loves the city and Sam loves her trike. So Sam designs roads with lanes just for bikes. Sam plays with dogs and Sam likes to look at art. So Sam designed her very own dog play park. Sam designs splash pads and playgrounds galore. Sam even restores prairies and wetlands and forests to explore. Sam knows she wants to create even more. She wants to design street corners and benches and all things outdoors. Sam creates pollinator gardens for butterflies and bees. She even creates sensory gardens so you can smell, touch, hear, and see. Sam designs gardens for hospitals that help heal. She also creates community gardens that give neighbors a meal. Sam loves the water and thinks pollution is mean. So Sam designs rain gardens that help keep our rivers and lakes clean. Sam loves climbing trees and playing in leaves. There's nothing she would love more than a world full of trees. When Sam grows up, she wants her ideas to be seen. She plans to be a landscape architect to make the world green. There's a lot of different words used in the book. Community gardens are plots of lands gardened collectively by residents within the aim of growing locally sourced fruits and vegetables. Design is the act of drawing or sketching how a place, object could look. A landscape architect is a person who creates places for enjoyment through design and plantings. Landscape architecture is the practice of improving an outdoor space through planning, planting, and construction. A plan is a drawing that shows how something should be built. A pollinator is an insect or an animal that carries pollen from one plant to another to create more flowers, fruit, and food. Pollution is environmental contaminants by waste, chemicals, and other harmful substances. Rain gardens are a garden or gardens that collect rainwater from sidewalks, roads, and other surfaces to improve nearby streams and lakes. And a splash pad, which NOR has a few of, is a play area with water and sprinklers. There's also many other books that work into planning processes, and we'll look into those later in our journey. So landscape architecture is all around you. It's in schools, it's in our restaurants, and of course, definitely our parks here. So let's take a journey around town here in Bakersfield and see where there is other landscape architecture projects. So what is landscape architecture? The American Society of Landscape Architects defines it as the planning, the design, the management, and the nurturing of built environments and natural environments. We as landscape architects work to improve the health and the environmental aspects of humans in communities, not only natural, but how we use the communities too. So what are some examples of landscape architecture? Where do we design? It's our communities, what you see here. It's our streets, so anything with transportation. It's parks, it's schools, it's corporate campuses, it's university campuses. We do a lot of ecological restoration, paseos and trails. There's tons of examples all around you, and today we're going to look at some of those examples throughout the community of Bakersfield. Landscape architecture is the connection that brings us all together. It connects us as humans with our environment, and it also connects our communities within each other. Here on this paseo, it's a long linear pathway that connects the individual neighborhoods throughout Belcourt here, and can bring the different parts of the community together into one place, not only on the paseo here, but at the rec center. Landscape architects design schools. In this landscape, what we have here is a Montessori school, different than our traditional public schools. The Montessori principles are to connect more with nature than traditional education, so everything that you see in this landscape is very kid-friendly. When we designed it, we talked about how kids were going to interact, how they were going to teach outside. And so when we're working in an educational environment, we really have to listen to what the client needs, not only for themselves and for safety and security, but also how the kids are going to interact in the area. So this is a multifaceted Montessori school. Where we are right now is out in the main toddler play area, or the main kid play area, and then there's a separate toddler area and then also an elementary classroom. And so this was designed to incorporate all sorts of ages in one play area, from having a turf area where they can play, a giant tree, a stage. This is more of a free play area than you would typically see in a public setting, and it's really fun. It's really fun to be a part of, and it's really fun to see the kids interact with it. So let's walk around and look at it, and then we'll head out to the small toddler area. Landscape architects combine a whole bunch of different professions into one. So landscape architecture is not just plants and irrigation. We know a little bit about civil engineering and engineering in general, a little bit about electrical, structural. We combine botany, of course, with the plant material. There's psychology involved in it. Even a little bit of agriculture, just because we have to know what we're putting into the ground works. Soil sciences, surveying, all of these
major professions are pretty much combined into landscape architecture. We know that we have to consult with other professions to get our job done, but we have to know a little bit of what we're doing across the board to make one big space into another one. In the case of the toddler room of the Montessori, you can see everything is much smaller here, because when you're working with toddlers, their environment is very big, and our world is very big to these little children. And so when you have an environment such as this classroom where everything's a little bit lower, it's a little bit smaller, the spaces are staged out, it makes it look normal to them, and then they're more willing to open up and learn and engage with their environment. And the same thing happens outside. So let's go outside to their play area. As you can see here, everything is much lower, just like in the classroom, much smaller. It's like with the chalkboard here, we have the big one that was outside. This one is much more usable for the little kids. Our sand play area, much more small and manageable. And that translates into this smaller area, but it's very, very big for them. Even down into the use of the sidewalks. We may think it's much smaller, but for them to have this cart path in this area is big and manageable for them. Even the small play area, they can gather into little areas as little people. They can gather into big areas. It's just a much safer environment, and that's knowing the psychology of what you're working with little children or any site, whether it's retail or commercial. You have to know who's going to be using the site for what. Landscape architects also design healthcare facilities. We're at Houchin Community Blood Bank, where when designing this, they wanted not only the outside to be a place after donors go, or after donors donate to go and relax and eat their snacks or just enjoy the environment, but also look at the landscape from the inside out. Many times donors are here for not only blood, but for platelet donation, which can take quite a bit of time. And so the idea was to make a very serene courtyard area for the donation center. In here we had a play on so many textures. You can see I'm sitting on a wood bench. We had different texture concrete. We had different types of block. We have water features, and all of this works together in a way that you wouldn't truly expect. A lot of people, when they think of landscape architecture, they think it's just plants and trees and water and soil, and it's not. It's forming our environment with different materials to make it look natural, but also in a man-made way. So let's go check out the courtyard a little bit. So here you can see this is a change in paving patterns. We have a different type of concrete than the colored concrete that's over here. And what playing with concrete does is really changes up your environment, or it sets a new tone without people really knowing it. The same happens with the block. So over here, we have more of this gray block. And then here we have an aggregate block. And that's the beauty of what landscape architects do, is we play with textures, we play with materials, anything that you would see in the environment, that's what we do. And we get to, it's kind of like architects on the inside of the building. They work with furniture and wallpaper and paint colors. This is our palette that we have here. Let's come down and see the public art that we have in this courtyard. This was donated by a local artist, and it was part of the Houchin community to have something that people could come out and memorialize and just visit, and it's mirrored. And we also incorporate public art into our projects where people can come out and enjoy, and whether it's a memorial or a donation by an artist or however it gets incorporated. Sometimes it's easy as a mosaic on a bench or tiles painted by a child. Public art becomes a piece of it too. And then also, a lot of times people donate to go into landscapes as well, where we incorporate This is for the building project. We have the in-kind donations, but there is also opportunities to incorporate public donations in pavers or other tiles, and that's what Houchin has done to give back to the community and to honor the people that continue to support the blood bank. Landscape architects also get to do really fun niche projects such as this ice cream parlor. In this case, the owners wanted to expand their indoor seating outdoors to what you see here and have different options for people that are waiting. And they had a very specific color palette because this ice cream parlor, Doors here in Bakersfield, has been around for over 100 years. And so some of the fun things we got to play with were tiles and different shaped planters and incorporating their signature pink color. And then also we played with a lot of the architecture and the roof line that comes around and makes circles. So we mimicked that onto the ground. That's one thing that landscape architects do very well, is look at how the building is also going to be incorporated into the landscape as a whole. And as part of this project, we got to do really, really fun, whimsical things like incorporating a hidden ice cream cone, and then also looking at a banana split bench that just turned into an awesome banana bench. So let's look at some of those initial sketches, and I'm also going to show you where the ice cream cone is in the landscape. So during the conceptual design process, when we were talking about the first ideas of how we wanted to look on the outside, wanted to designate the entries to the two different party rooms that we have here at Doors. And so we incorporated these walls to show that these two entrances are different. But we added a little bit of fun to it by incorporating an ice cream cone. So this first wall that you see is cut like a cone. And as we move over, they're cut into various shapes that when you stand further back towards the entry of the building, it makes an ice cream cone. And that was just a fun little hidden thing that we threw in there. So the next time that you visit Doors, look for the ice cream cone.
This is the first part of the ice cream. The cone, the V shape, which is blue. Then you got the curve of it, for the side of it, and then the ice cream.
Part of the design for the ice cream shop, the owners wanted to incorporate different kinds of seating, not only the tile benches, but something other than just your normal bench. And so that's where the idea came from of sitting on an ice cream sundae or a banana split. And that was the fun part of the design process, is seeing how this banana bench that it came to be really processed from if it was going to be a banana or the split or an ice cream scoop or a spoon. And because of that process, working with the fiberglass manufacturer, the owners were actually able to create Chewy, their mascot, as part of the process for making the bench. And so Chewy is on display in front of the ice cream parlor, as well as the final product of the banana bench. Finally, landscape architects design parks. This is my favorite part of the job, and that is the reason why I work for NOR. I design, we build, we maintain, we oversee all of the parks within the district. And part of the design process is, of course, looking at our playgrounds, how they are going to be played with, how they're going to be incorporated, the sports courts, like where we have a basketball court, our athletic fields, baseball, softball, soccer, picnic shelters, restrooms, parkings, community centers. We do it all here at NOR. So thank you for joining the fun today at NOR. We look forward to seeing you next week when we start learning how we design our parks and throw in the different elements. And with that, there'll be different giveaways that we have and ways for you to participate. So again, my name is Steph Sanders with NOR, and thank you for joining the fun.
Mom, can we go play now?
Okay, let's go.